Dr. Boyce Watkins from Financial Juneteenth, and I wanted to tell you something about a conversation that I just had. I went to go meet with some lawyers today, some young brothers that are going to do some legal work for a couple of my businesses, and it's funny. So we had a good meeting. We ate breakfast at this real cool spot in the south side of Chicago, and had a great conversation. And I had a lot of respect for these guys. When I get a chance to mention the name of the firm, I'm gonna tell you guys the name because I think that supporting black business is a very important part of everything all of us should do. It's one of the things that we're going to talk about consistently in the Black Wealth Boot Camp, which starts on July 18th. Now, which you can find out more at theblackwealthbootcamp.com. Now, here's something that came up. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine on the way back, and as we were talking, one of the things that she said was, she said, when she said, I used to think I was a really disciplined person, but when I retired and I didn't have to go to work every day, I realized I was lazy. And she said, I looked back and she said, I realized that the reason I worked so hard every day was because the white man was cracking his whip, on my back. He had his foot on my head, on my neck, and was making me work every day. And I kind of laughed and I said, wow, that's an interesting realization. And I said, you know what? Now that I think about it, I said, I think you have what a lot of us have, which is the slave mentality. Now, what is the slave mentality? The slave mentality is when you will work harder for somebody else's dream than you will work for your own. Or you will work hard because somebody tells you to work, but you can't work when you're telling yourself to work. So that basically means you kind of respect that white man who runs that company you work for more than you respect yourself. And one of the things I believe, there are a lot of excuses to not get what you wanted, to not be as successful as you want to be, or have as much money as you want. But there's no excuse to not love yourself and respect yourself enough to work harder for you than you do for anybody else. So that means when you start your own business, or when you're in school, or when you're doing something that's going to better your future, better your life, put yourself first. Make yourself the top priority. It's okay to do that. Now, of course, later on, as you become successful, you should lift as you climb. You don't just make yourself successful and forget about your whole community. You want to lift other people up. But when it comes to who you're willing to take a risk for, who you're willing to put it on the line for, who you're willing to grind for, there should be nobody out here in the world that's more important than you, except maybe your children or somebody you love, your parents, but not that guy who runs that business that's making you work for crappy wages and treating you like a dog. And the funny thing is that that's consistent among a lot of black people. A lot of us work for other folks who are not black, mostly white folks. That's what we've been used to. We've been doing it for 400 years, and that white man asks us to come in to work for 10 hours a day. We own it. We come in early. We'll work the whole time. We don't complain. We don't ask too many questions because we don't want to lose our job. But when you're thinking about trying to start your own business, or you're trying to think about going back to school, or you're trying to set another goal for yourself where you have to be self motivated, suddenly we don't have the time. Suddenly we don't have the energy. Suddenly we don't have the desire. Suddenly we're distracted by something else. Suddenly we just can't get it done. Well, a lot of what you can get done in your life is really based on your priorities. The reason you're not getting your own stuff done, but somebody else's stuff done, is because they forced you to put their agenda at the top of your priority list. You're taking your agenda and putting it at the bottom of your priority list. And I think that's a slave mentality to me. And I'm not talking about other people. I'm not wagging my finger. I'm telling you about this because I had this too. When I started college, I remember, you know, one of the ways I was able to do well in college, and I did very well in college. High school, I was a terrible student. College, I had three. I was a triple major, two bachelor's degrees that I got in 4 years. I could have got three bachelor's degrees, maybe in 3 years if I had really tried. I mean, college was a breeze. I murdered college, and the reason I did was because I had a simple rule. My philosophy was very simple. I would study 6 to 8 hours a day, every day, all the time. And the reason I came to that conclusion was I said, well, if I work at Taco Bell and and my boss tells me to work 8, 10 hours a day, I can do that with no problem. So if I'm willing to work 8 to 10 hours a day for minimum wage, why wouldn't I work 6 to 8 hours to build my future? It was logical. It made sense. But if you talk to a lot of college students, you say, you know what, you should study at least 3 to 4 hours every day. They're like, oh my God, that's too much. I can't do it, man. That's gonna wear me out. You ain't having no fun in school because you up here studying all the time. That's the attitude people have. But as soon as they go out here and they start working for that white man in that corporation, when he's telling them to put in 10, 12 hours a day, or they're working at these fast food restaurants and they're told to put in 8, 10, 12 hours a day, they do it no question, no problem, very, very disciplined. So how do you go from being a person that has no discipline whatsoever or limited discipline when it comes to the things that you want to build your future, but suddenly when you're put on a plantation and being forced to do something, you suddenly become as disciplined as a robot? You become a person that doesn't complain. You become a person that shows up on time every day. You stay until the job is done. You do what is required. You do what you are told. That's because to some extent we are addicted to a slave mentality. So that's what I just want to say to you is part of your freedom, socially, economically, everything else. And this is about more than money. This is not just about getting wealthy. A lot of people, there's a lot of wealthy slaves out here in this world. Part of your journey has to be about psychological freedom, breaking the chains off your brain, freeing yourself from the psychological plantation, making yourself into a person who is as self-determined as you are externally determined. Your direction in life is driven more so by your internal mechanisms than by external factors and external pressure. If you get to that point, you'll find yourself much happier because you'll end up in places that you belong. You'll end up in a place that you got to because you decided you wanted to be there, not because fate just happened to land you there or because somebody told you that that's where you needed to go. So I encourage you, embrace that idea, become your own man, your own woman, make your own decisions, build your own life, and you'll just be so much happier. When I learned how to do that, when I learned how to set a goal and give myself the respect of treating myself with the dignity of knowing the value of my time. I don't let people waste my time. You may not think I'm an important person, but in my mind, my time is as important as President Obama's. You're not going to waste my time on no nonsense. When I've got a goal, I work toward that goal every day as if the deadline is tomorrow. And that took time to practice getting that way because when I was younger in my 20s, I didn't have that in me. It just took practice. And it also takes a lot of pain and disappointment when you find yourself constantly falling short. You find yourself constantly living somebody else's life, not getting the things that you want, watching other people succeed while you're still languishing in the background. That's a painful reality to live in for a long period of time. So work on that. Work on getting off the plantation. Work on setting your own goals, becoming your own man, your own woman, setting your own destiny, and working toward that destiny as if it's the most important thing in the world. Because you are worth it. You are important, and that's all I just want to share with you. Just so you know, if you're interested in our Black Wealth Bootcamp, you can sign up at theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.